Welcome to a new episode of Wedding Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, the team from Weddings a la Mode and Mode Events joins us with a special guest to chat about all things wedding related. Now pour yourself a drink and let's get to planning. Hello and happy Wedding Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 2 via Twitch. I'm so happy to have you. Between now and last week, I was in Las Vegas. It was nice to get away, but I am happy to be back in Chicago and get back to work. So today we have a special guest. I probably say that every time, but super special friend of mine, actually. I've known her for a few years now, and we can talk more about how we met and her role in the event industry. But without further ado, a big round of applause for Monika Heppe. Yay!
Hello, how are you?
Good. I haven't seen you in person in so long.
Oh my God, I can't remember the last time. It was before we left for Vegas for Cater Source, I think.
Yes.
It was mid-March.
I want to say it was at the Hoxton because I love the Hoxton here. I think that's when it was, but
so long ago.
Yes. Thank you for joining us virtually.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to be in person with you at some point.
Please.
I have this bottle of bubbly. I opened it like a couple weeks ago, so I hope it's
it's not going to be good at all.
So cheers, and bear with me. I have poor internet connection today, so if you guys see a yellow, like if my screen goes out, I will be right back. But are you drinking anything this evening?
You know what? I'm actually still drinking green tea for a little bit longer, and then I was grocery shopping. I was doing a couple other things, getting some work done. So time got away from me. I don't know how it became 7 o'clock already.
Yeah,
I'm very much the night owl, so I'm like way up late and sleep until like 9 o'clock on the dot kind of person.
Oh, good. Okay,
yeah.
So this is like kind of close to.
Oh, we're not even dinner time yet, so it's okay.
Okay, cool. Well, I met you originally. I don't know, just all these networking events here in Chicago. There's so many.
No, I'm trying to think when we actually met, and I don't know that I remember the exact day, but it just seems like you've been around forever. We've been around forever, so it's got to be years. I mean, we're probably talking 5-6 years ago now, right?
Yeah. And now I mainly, anytime I'm emailing you with work-related items, it's usually pertaining to rental items because you work for Tablescapes here in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, I would love to hear how you even got into that. Well, one, got into the event planning world, but then specifically rentals and like why Tablescapes and whatnot.
Well, it's funny because my career was accidental, completely accidental. I was going to law school. This was not the plan to be in the event world. But unfortunately, I graduated college in 2008 when the recession hit. And I had lived in Spain for the last year, for what would have been my senior year of college. And so I came back with the intention of going to law school and knew that all of my friends who were graduating law school were working at Starbucks. And I went on a bunch of interviews to do some paralegal and legal secretary positions. And they were all being taken by law school graduates because they couldn't find jobs. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break from this law school idea, take a year off, and then go back to the catering company that I had worked for in college and in high school and just kill a year. That was the plan. That was 13 years ago. And it kind of spiraled from there. I worked for that first catering company for about maybe another like 4 years after that. So maybe almost total of almost 10 years I was with them, on and off, through high school and college. And then I went to another catering company and was managing that company, which was the most fun. We had a lot of growth ideas. I mean, everything was locally sourced and zero waste and very organic. And it was a really different way of doing catering in the early, 2010, 2012 kind of thing, when no one else was doing it. So it was really fun, and we learned a lot. We opened 2 venue spaces. It was just a really cool time to be doing creative work in the event industry. And I left there about, oh my gosh, almost 5 years ago now, with the intention of taking a break. I was doing a bunch of project work and a bunch of other stuff. I was working for a decor company. I was helping another catering company for a bit, doing all kinds of things. I was also doing event planning with with a wedding company. And Tablescapes had contacted me a couple times and said, will you come work with us? And I kept going, I don't think so. That doesn't seem like it would be fun enough. I wouldn't have enough to do. I really love events. I want to be there. It's different in the rental world because we can just drop off equipment and not actually get to be there. But after talking with the owners for a little bit and doing some other stuff, and at the time, they were in the process of selling the company to the employees.
I want to talk about that, but really quick. Yeah. All of your event planning in the industry has been in Chicago, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're from here?
I was born and raised in the western suburbs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was an accidental thing, that's for sure. I mean, I didn't necessarily intend to be here, but I love it, and it kind of gets in your head, and it gets in your lifestyle. It turned, most of my friends are now event people, because we all kind of understand the 24/7 hours, and working every weekend, except for this year, but working every weekend and things like that. And it's just such a collaborative industry that it's really, really fun.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said, you were talking about how, like, the process of your role in the industry, and I heard you say it spiraled from there. I'm like, oh God, is that spiral downward or like building? No,
depends on the day, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, because that is something super specific or special, I would say, and unique to Tablescapes. The fact that you said it was sold to the employees.
Yeah, so it's an employee-owned company. There's about 43 of us who own the company, and it's still run by a board of directors. We have a CEO. It's a really kind of cool concept, but of the 43 of us, almost, I haven't looked at the numbers in a while, but it's completely minority and women positive. So we have a very high amount of minorities and women in our ownership, which is really cool.
Cool. I'm still here, just so you know. It looks like I have a delay. But I can definitely still hear you. So good. Technical difficulties, which we will iron out. I live in the city of Chicago, and I feel like ever since COVID hit, I don't know if everyone's on at the same time or what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but
I reset my modem twice.
You can still hear me.
Don't worry.
You can still hear me, okay, right?
Yeah, it's I think it's that way for everybody.
Yeah. Which actually is a good and unintentional segue of, again, last time you and I saw each other, you were headed to a really large event expo in Vegas.
Yeah.
And
then it fell apart.
Yeah, everyone's been affected, obviously, by this pandemic.
It was weird because...
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was weird because we were all going out there as it was starting to become, we knew something was coming, but we watched it spiral that week we were out there. And as event professionals who are obsessed with making sure we figure out how we're going to do this correctly, it started even back then, and so people who say, like, how are we throwing events? How are we getting through this? Know that event professionals started planning for this in March. The second that we started getting ideas, there was 6,000 people in Vegas coming up with ideas on how we were going to fix this. And so I think from there, it's really kind of grown in momentum wise. It's such a great understanding of we're all in this together.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, at what point people started, and when I say people, at what point clients and planners started reaching out to you and saying, hey, we need to, either cancel or postpone. And like, what have you seen the most of? Canceling, postponing, are people moving forward?
It's been a little bit of everything. Like I said, that week we were in Vegas, I think it was March 9th through the 15th or so. Monday things started getting a little weird. Tuesday, we started seeing a lot of like questions more than anything. By Wednesday or Thursday, we were canceling half of our book of business. And by Friday, our March and April were absolutely disastrous. I mean, we had gone from thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business to zero in a matter of about 3 or 4 days. So it got pretty scary. We were in a buying phase, for first quarter for the event industry in Chicago. We're out the buying new equipment, new items, new trends, all that kind of stuff. So we were in a buying phase, and I bought a ton of stuff in Vegas for, new products for us to sell. And by Thursday morning, most people had changed their flights and were leaving, because most of the airlines at that point were letting people change without a problem. We stayed in Vegas until Saturday of that weekend, or Sunday, I think. And by Sunday, they closed down Vegas.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we came home, and by that Monday, I was going to stay home for a week anyway and just quarantine myself because we had been in Vegas and because we'd been on planes and all that kind of stuff. So I quarantined at home for that first week. And then that second week home, the state of Illinois went into mandatory lockdown. So it was like, I've kind of been quarantined for an extra week because of that. But we saw the entire industry essentially implode in a matter of 3 to 4 days. We originally were only seeing March and April cancellations, and then it just kind of slowly started to trickle and slowly started to trickle and slowly started to trickle. I would say our June business was about 1% of what we did last year. And July and August are obviously a little bit better because we're doing a lot more smaller parties, a lot more backyard stuff, and helping out some restaurants that have been doing some more outdoor service and creating patio spaces for them. But this is nothing compared to what we're used to. What we used to be 24/7 and have people in the warehouse 24 hours a day, six days a week, I would say. Sundays we weren't there all the time, but it's been a lot of redesigning how you do things and learning to work from home more and helping clients in different ways and finding ways to be more helpful without having large parties.
Yeah. I put the question up here, but have people started inquiring with you for next year yet? Or I'm wondering when the inquiries are starting for you. Like if people are, for me, people are waiting till fall of next year. So that's one thing. But
I think we have an understanding that we're not going to get back to normal until about fall of next year of 2021. We're thinking fourth quarter will be the first time we go back to a somewhat normal schedule in terms of having the same amount of orders as we would historically have had on those kinds of weekends. We don't anticipate a good first or second quarter at all next year, which is understandable. I mean, people are kind of just waiting at this point, trying to figure out when would be a good time. Because originally, like I said, in March, when we started canceling weddings, we were all like, September will be fine. We'll be fine by September, move everything at least September, October. And then you start seeing September and October events getting moved again to next year. So I think at this point, no one trusts the cycle on how long this is going to be for. So we're seeing a lot less inquiries by tons. The also thing with rentals, so much of our business comes from other event industry vendors, so caterers, planners, decor companies, things like that. And so we don't necessarily get a ton of inquiries in business years in advance or months in advance. A lot of our stuff comes in a little bit more closer to the event date, because those vendors know our inventory and they know the pricing and things like that. So they're not necessarily putting in proposals, but we are seeing very few requests for next year. Some backyard weddings, some things that are hopeful, but corporate is not doing large scale events. Weddings are going to be much smaller for a while. And for the most part, a lot of our overall orders are much, much smaller.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact that, like, and I've mentioned this to you before, but the fact that your background is catering and now you're dealing with rentals, that gives you such an advantage of understanding what is needed, and we can talk about that in a bit. But just to, I don't want to say wrap up COVID, because I could talk about that forever. But
it's the only storyline we've got these days.
Yeah, well, I feel like, because I've worked with you several times, and I've always personally thought that your company does a great job in terms of like everything is packaged nicely when you pick up the rentals or if the rental items are delivered. Because also another thing to note about your company is that if there are viewers out there who have not used Tablescapes before, you have the option of pick up yourself or delivery to the venue. So that's nice that that can be an option. But in any case, when you deliver the items, everything's like super like wrapped. It's like I said, wrapped nicely. That's not really the right word.
Everything, yeah, everything is saran wrapped and covered and sanitized, and yeah.
Has anything changed in terms of like what you guys are having to do?
A little bit. I mean, we're a lot more cautious of things. We're cleaning things in terms of like delivery equipment, the carts that guys are using, that kind of stuff a lot more, the trucks, things like that. We're not, I mean, for the most part, our glassware and our china and our flatware, all that stuff was cleaned in high temp dishwashers before. It was wrapped in plastic before. I mean, as soon as it comes off the dish machines and things like that. So nobody was touching it beforehand. Plates, glassware, flatware was all individually packed. So a lot of that stuff we've been doing for a long time. Some of it's just being a little bit more vigilant about it, making sure that things are getting wiped down with sanitizer more regularly. But most of that stuff has been stuff that we've, I mean, always had to do. So not too much of it's changed for us, luckily.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. I didn't know if there was something like super random that you have to do now legally. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we send more hand sanitizer in the truck than we did before, and the guys wear masks. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, that was kind of our everyday understanding of. I mean, we were heavily sanitized, heavily cleaned, and heavily wrapped, everything anyway. So yeah, we were kind of ahead of the game for this part.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Just like everyone else, I'm getting these emails from random companies, gyms, and just anything that I've ever sent an email to or signed up for or whatever. And they're like, "We are cleaning." It's like, I hope so. Exactly. I hope you were cleaning your things.
Why weren't you before? Exactly.
Yeah. It is just nice, though. I guess it's nice to have like a reassurance from them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't send out our COVID response as an e-blast because we didn't feel like we needed to. It is available on our website, and so you can kind of read through it, but we didn't feel like we needed to. We didn't think it was that far off of the general scope of what we did on a regular basis. And I think most customers know that we're probably pretty OCD when it comes to those kinds of things anyway.
Yeah. So I've, of course, worked with you, like I said, but in terms of if a couple's watching and they have not ever rented anything for an event, what if you can explain like what the process looks like? So
sure.
If you have do people usually call you or email you first?
Both. You know, we get people who will email us through websites like The Knot or Wedding Wire. We have people who will call our office. We have people who, in the old days, we don't allow it right now, but we used to have people who would just drop into our showroom in downtown Chicago and want to walk through and touch things and look at them. And we were totally okay with that. If you wanted to give us a call and let us walk you through it, we're open to that as well. I think it's, I always say the first step to start is on the website. You know, we have photos of a lot of our inventory. I'm not going to say everything because there are things that haven't made it up there yet. A lot of our newer stuff isn't quite up there yet either. But start on the website, come up with some ideas, decide what you're looking for and what you want it to look like, and then decide on your budget. Because if you come in and you tell me that you want all of these pretty things, but you don't have a budget and I send you a proposal and it's way above what you were expecting, it kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the process for you, at least, you know, and it just takes a little bit longer as well. So I usually say, look at the website, go through all the items we have available, find the design that you're looking for, and then come to us with that. We can put together proposals. We can talk you through ideas that would save some money. So if you say, this is a little bit above my budget, I can switch out a couple of plates and maybe a glass here or there. And all of a sudden it's much more doable.
Yeah, because you know your inventory. So you can say, okay, I can tell what vibe you're going for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say the majority of your people or your clients have wedding planners or not? Like what percentage would you say?
Like I said, a lot of our clients do come through the catering company or through the event planner or through the decor company. So there are times when we don't even get to necessarily speak directly to the bride or groom or to the client specifically. So it could be 50-50. I would say probably, and it depends too. There's some brides who get really excited about the design part of it, and some couples who that becomes something they talk about very early on. And so they will come look at all those items and then end up at a venue that requires a caterer and has tables and chairs. So the plan kind of changes here and there. But we usually say, don't get to the rentals until you get to the venue. I mean, get the venue first. You don't know what the design is until you know what venue you're going to be in, what the walls are going to look like, and the design, overall design of the building. And then go to your caterer, because they're also going to have things that they're going to automatically include that you may or may not need to do. It's really just like, make sure you follow the process, but there's no one out there explaining the process, unfortunately, unless you do have a planner.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm quoting you on that. Get the venue first, then your caterer.
Yeah. Then the caterer.
Yeah, that's smart. That way you're not wasting anyone's time.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, if you end up at a venue that has a required caterer, you don't have a choice, then you have to kind of renegotiate the plans a little bit. So make sure everything kind of works itself through the process. Otherwise, you're doing more work for yourself too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else would you recommend to couples who don't have a wedding planner to advise them, or to wedding planners who are watching, who they have a vision for what they want? Are there any things that, like, how am I trying to word this? Like, what things are you seeing or hearing that have been like a common, like, okay, well, you need to first make sure X, Y, Z. Like, are there things that are forgotten a lot, things that they need to remember?
That's a hard thing. I mean, everything kind of goes differently. When we're talking individually to couples, a lot of times I'll go through the little things. Did you remember salt and pepper shakers for the tables? Do you remember your bread baskets for the tables? Do you have stands for the waiter trays? Things like that you don't necessarily think about regularly, that a caterer would have taken care of for you. If it's our catering clients or our wedding planning clients, cake and plates and forks are always forgotten. So I'm always like, what about dessert? Like, let's make sure we add that on too. But for the most part, I mean, there's so much that goes into an event. If you don't have professionals who are doing it with you, you're going to drive yourself crazy. The biggest thing you could possibly do is hire professionals who know what they're doing, because your life is just so much easier.
You, which we'll get to later, your wedding planning company. Yeah, that is a good point. Like bread baskets, because Tablescapes has linens as well.
Yep, we do linens. Yep.
Yeah, that's always a thing I've noticed with couples. They're like, oh, a bread basket will need a napkin to go in the bread basket, depending on the style. But it's like, little tiny things that make a big difference in both the service as well as just the aesthetic of everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What's trending right now? Like, are there certain items that, like, are you like, oh my God, this black fork I'm obsessed with? Or like, is there anything?
Well, I think I'm going to knock on wood. I mean, there's nothing near me, but if I had some wood, I would knock on it. I think we might be past the mason jar concept finally. I think, it's one of those things that we as an industry have been trying to get rid of for years, and they just kind of stuck around and wouldn't leave. We are still seeing some rustic, lots of farm tables and things still, mostly because I think there's a lot of very rustic event spaces in Chicago, a lot of industrial exposed brick with, wood beamed spaces in Chicago. So you still see some of that, but we're seeing a lot more pushing more towards the modern, with your mirage chairs, your Chiavaris are kind of less and less popular, things like that. People want a little bit more modern design and look to things. We just brought in new mirage chairs in, I ordered them in February. It took a while to get them here from China, but we got in new mirage chairs that are actually a smoke color. So it's like a little bit of a, it's still kind of that see-through look like the Claire has, but it's in a darker charcoal color. So those are my new obsession, and have gotten lots and lots of inquiries for those once we started putting them on Instagram and showing people what those looked like. We're doing a lot of kind of interesting, more creative stuff for buffets this year. But at this point, the trends are kind of taking a break because we don't know how we'll be able to do food service in the future. We don't know if buffets are going to really be allowed for a while. We don't know if chef stations are going to be allowed for a while. The industry had really pushed a lot towards minis and creative chef stations and all this fun interactive ways of serving food for the last year or two. And all of that's kind of really out the window right now because we don't want guests up and moving around in event space. We don't want guests going through a buffet line as much as we can help it and things like that. So it's also redefining ways in which we are serving food right now. So trending is really, really in a standstill right this second.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. It's hard to figure out what to buy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, from your perspective, working for a rental company, but also caterers, also the venue and clients, they're all kind of wondering about that.
Yep.
Do we do buffet? Do we not? I have a wedding the end of October that is doing a buffet, but for the most part, I've been hearing from industry friends that buffets are not as sought after right now.
Well, and I think I think the conversation is you shouldn't have guests touching the same tongs, one guest after another touching tongs and touching the food and things like that, or walking over the food and breathing on the food and things like that. So I think buffets have really been a conversation of those should probably not be happening right now, which just kind of puts us really back into that plated style of service, because family style is that same concept where you're taking a bowl and you're passing it around the table and passing around the tongs and things like that. So it really does put us back into plated only mentality. But if that's the case, then let's get creative with plated. Let's create fun amuse-bouches, individually plated appetizers, all kinds of different fun, interesting things, and design the plates a little bit better so that it still has that Instagram worthy food service without it being a fun action station.
Yeah. What do you do with the items that, like, okay, you have all these mason jars, right? What do you do with the mason jars after? Like, if they're not selling after a certain point, you're like, okay, we don't need these. You just then sell them to another company or something?
Yeah. So we haven't really been very good in the last couple of years about getting rid of old product. We've grown so much in the last, we're a 34-year-old company. So we've been around for a while, but over the last about 4 years, we've really, really grown in size. So up until right before COVID hit, we were working out of 3 separate warehouses. And so we are now in the process of, this year was always going to be the year that we grew up and kind of put in everything under one roof and got a huge new warehouse. So the warehouse is almost finished. We've started to move all of our product there. So we'll have about 95,000 square feet of warehousing space and office space in just a couple of weeks, and we'll be ready to go. So we've started to move a lot of stuff over there, and through that process, we've decided a lot of the things that we're going to start to get rid of and start to clear out. So if you watch the website and watch our social media in a couple of weeks, you'll start to see things that we're going to be starting to sell. Some of it we have large quantities of, some of it we only have 12 or 20 of, so it'll be fun. But yeah, over the course of probably the next couple of months. If we were in a different COVID world, we would have probably started selling some of that stuff early in the year. But unfortunately, we didn't really want people coming in and out of the warehouse right now.
Yeah.
But if you want some fun stuff for events, keep in mind.
And then, part of the benefit of working with you is I could go into the showroom as a wedding planner or a client and see how it feels and see what it looks like. So I didn't think about that, the fact that you can't really do that right now. Or are you doing private visit for appointments or no?
We are doing some private appointments by appointment only because our sales team is not in the office 24/7. They're all working remotely. So we do allow people to come in 1 or 2 at a time, completely masked, as long as they're safe, and look through stuff and things like that. They are sanitizing and cleaning the showroom as well. So we do have some appointments coming through and people picking things because there are still weddings happening and there's still events happening. Yeah. So we can't necessarily say, no, you can't look at these items.
Yeah. Well, you want to keep moving forward if at all possible.
We're asking people not to drop in, like I said, because people aren't necessarily there. And so that we can make sure that appointments are staggered. But yeah, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, good. Maybe I'll just come by and look.
And like I said, in the next couple, we're also building out a brand new showroom too, in the city. So hopefully, I think October 15th is our dream date, but we're also waiting on the city with permitting issues too. So, but we'll have a brand new showroom that's only about 2 blocks from our current showroom, bigger, cleaner, and very focused. and then we'll have the warehouse as well.
Cool.
Yep.
Exciting.
All the big changes happening this year.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, even like on the invoicing and like everything looks fantastic. And
we got a whole new computer system this year too.
Yeah.
We've done a lot this year. Absolutely. Yeah. We've got a whole new computer system that we installed in February, and geo-tracking on our trucks, and so much stuff. We've changed the technology. That's for sure. We just purchased a brand new dishwasher that was in the multiple six-figure range that I was a little surprised by. But yeah, so lots of fun tech stuff growing for us too.
Yeah. For couples, when they're, when they're planning their overall wedding budget, you're like, okay, I need to allot this percentage to a photographer, or this percentage to a wedding planner, or this percentage to floral. Is there a set percentage that you recommend to couples to like carve out for rentals, or what are your thoughts on that?
I go a couple of the answer to that is no, not really. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One, your rentals are very much going to depend on your venue. If your venue has tables and chairs and a gorgeous built-in bar and some high boys for the cocktail area with some couches, then you're not going to need as much equipment. Most of your stuff is going to be more tabletop. Most of your items are going to be more decor pieces. So your overall budget can be a lot smaller. If you're looking to, if you have to change out the chairs, or you have to bring in chairs for the ceremony, that will increase your budget substantially. So it all depends on what exactly you need and what your venue requires. And same thing with your caterers. Some of the caterers are going to want more kitchen equipment. Some of the caterers are going to need more back of house and bar equipment. It all depends on their necessities too. So it's kind of a hard thing to give you a budget for rentals, because every event is different. I don't think we really necessarily have an average when it comes to what an event size is. Like I said, chairs are a very expensive item to add overall comparatively to other items, to a dinner plate or something like that. We do have tons of chargers that we dropped our pricing on last year. So all of our charges are either $6 or $8, so that it's a much easier add. Right? So it's a much easier add to a table and to an overall event rental bill. So especially with these smaller weddings, we're seeing a lot more chargers and a lot more decor going onto the tables.
Yeah.
But overall, the rental, it varies dramatically.
Yeah, I would agree. From what I've seen, I almost recommend to my couples, like, see what you need first, and then if you have room, you can add the fun stuff. You'd agree?
I always say, let's do your wish list. Let's talk about what you really want, and then let's put that bill together and talk about what that actually looks like. And then let's switch out a couple of things here and there that doesn't change the overall dramatic look of it without adding enormous amounts of cost. If you want this really incredible charger and gold rimmed dinner plates and these specific gold designed salad plates and things like that, we can definitely do that. But then when the bill comes and it's too expensive, let's just switch out that gold rim dinner plate to a white rim. No one's going to know the difference. By the time dinner's served, they've already taken all the pictures, and you can save a little bit of money there. So it's really, let's look at your wish list. Let's make sure that we have as much of the design that you want out of it. And then we'll peel back here and there piece by piece to figure out how to get a little bit closer to your actual budget.
Okay. I'm going to add this to the screen, but someone watching is asking, is Tablescapes only located in Chicago?
We are only, our main showroom and offices are only located in Chicago. We do ship nationally though. So we do have equipment that we ship all over the country. So if you need specific chargers, if you need a specific flatware set, that kind of stuff, we ship all over the country. Some of the times it's driven out with our truck. Some of it is shipped FedEx or, long-term freight. Depending on what it is, how much of it is, and that kind of stuff. So anything that you need on the website, we can get for you. So
are you like friends with all these different rental companies around the country? Like, are you like, oh, hey, I know you, or like keep to yourself?
No, we definitely work a lot together and interact a lot together. We subrent from each other all the time. There's times when I need 10,000 of one plate and we don't have it. So I go to another rental company and get 5,000 of theirs and 5,000 of mine, and we put them together. I think we have to be in this industry because there's no way to hold everything in one warehouse and to have the stock of everything in one warehouse. It's funny, as we go across the country, other people will do things and learn from them. And then it'll come, our term. This year, we were expecting to do a lot for the Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee. And so we had gone to a company out of Cleveland and said, you guys did the RNC last year. What did your numbers look like? How many glasses did you go through that week? How many plates did you go through? What should we expect the requests to come in at quantity wise so that we could order enough product this year so we knew we had what they were going to need? And so they sent us all of their bills and all of their information from when they had done it, and were able to give us kind of estimates as to what we should have expected the orders to come in like.
That's really awesome to hear that they were cooperative, and I'm from Ohio.
Our office, our new warehouse. I think our new computer system came from one of the other rental companies that really kind of talked us into how much they loved it and how much they're using it. We interact. I mean, California, Cleveland, New York, Miami. There's so many big rental companies throughout the country that we all have to kind of figure out and learn from each other.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice to hear. How many were you planning on for the DNC, like guests?
You know what? It slowly kept coming back down. But I think we purchased. And to add to our inventory as well, the other problem was the DNC was going to be in the middle of August, in the middle of the beginning of August, I think, was in the middle of the busiest of our event season as well. So we knew that we would have to have our regular inventory plus. And we were in a position where we knew we were moving into our bigger warehouse this year. So we had the space to store it and we were excited for that growth. So I want to say we ordered maybe an extra 12,000 double fashion glasses. I think we ordered, the numbers escape me. It seems like it was so long ago. I mean, it actually really was so long ago now in February. But there was a lot of people expected.
Yeah, man. Well, I wish maybe another time. That'd be a big event to do.
Yeah, we did get the NBA All-Star Game in February, so there was a lot of events happening in Chicago based around that. So that was really fun. This year was supposed to be the year for the Midwest, man. There was supposed to so much was supposed to happen, but we lost a lot of it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
At least it'll come back.
Yes, exactly. When one door closes, another door opens. That's what I've been telling myself, and that's true. It's like, that's what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also part of how you pivot it, though. You have to figure out, how to make things happen and how to keep going throughout it and that kind of stuff. You can't just kind of sit on your whims and say, well, it's not working. We'll wait till it ends, because there's no end in sight. Let's keep getting things done. Let's do it safely. Let's make sure that we're taking care of each other and making sure that we have a future in this industry. Yeah.
So you mentioned some really cool events, which made me think of, like, have you had any nightmare situations, like I think something that would happen, a car accident that has all the rental items, or I don't know what can go wrong. And
I don't think so. I think for the most part, I mean, we've had trucks that have gotten stuck in like ditches and things like that, when they're delivering a lot of these like huge tented weddings up in like Geneva and Kenosha and things like that, where it's been raining for 3 or 4 days and we have to drive the truck out to the backyard so that they can set up the tables and things like that. And trucks have gotten stuck. And we've had to call some tow trucks and things like that for a semi, so that's not always the most fun. But no, for the most part, there's been times we're running late for things, but a lot of times they'll just load up a different truck and then take that one over there. In the craziest of years, I actually had a problem when I was a caterer that we were running late for delivery, and it was one of those super late for the deliveries. And I think it's just part of the industry that we all kind of figured out together. The Tablescapes guys stayed there and set up the event and helping in the kitchen and things like that when we needed them there. So I think it's just a matter of making it all work as a group, and nothing's perfect. I mean, there's going to be days when there's riots downtown and you can't get through the streets and something starts 15 minutes late. it is what it is. You know, when it comes to events, you have to do your best, work together as a team, and then hope for perfection.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Trying to think that something that happened. I had a wedding and there was supposed to be, this is like a couple years ago, but I'll always try to be prepared as best I can. But basically, the couple was explaining to me and the coordinator that I was working with that they would have a bunch of guests showing up late or like not RSVPing. So it was a buffet style dinner. So, and they didn't have assigned tables. They didn't have assigned seats.
Oh my God.
Just fine, like totally fine, like super casual. So we had a ton of food lined up and then tables set up with chairs. And they had said like the week before, like, oh, we might want to add on a few seats and tables because our guest count's looking higher or something. Because it wasn't assigned tables or seats, they didn't feel like they had to have a strict guest list or,
Yeah.
So they were working with a caterer who they were very friendly with, and they were Nigerian. And they were explaining, this is my first Nigerian wedding. Now I know. But they were telling me in the culture that in Chicago specifically, they were saying that their friends or their families would come over and be in Chicago for like a month. Mm-hmm. So they would try to like do a bunch of weddings all in the same month. That way they don't have to keep flying. It's super smart. You know, flying back and forth for weddings. So they would plan to have all their weddings in 1 month. Makes total sense. I get it. I totally get it. But it was tricky because the caterers were used to this because it was a Nigerian caterer. I forget the name of the company. They were super great. They had plenty of extra food. They were prepared. But again, now I would probably advise the couple to order like a lot more. Long story short, we had about 100 extra guests arrive.
Oh, Jesus.
So like, I forget, it ended up being about 450. So I think like a week before it was probably, they had said 250 people and then, we had 250 people. And then the week before they're like, okay, let's plan for maybe 350 or something to like that. Like there was a big jump, but we knew. Yeah. Like, okay, we're just going to get more tables and chairs and utensils and flatware. I mean, the list is long.
All of it.
All of it. But it was hard because at that point, people just kept coming and, all of them were like, do you know who I am? Like, no, I just met you. But I'm like, no, but that doesn't mean like you're not important. Like everyone's important. Everyone was family. And we tried to accommodate them the best we could. Fortunately, we had ceremony chairs, like different chairs. We had extra separate chairs. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So and it was like a multi-level building. So we had to take the chairs from the ceremony space downstairs up, but that worked. Like that was a solution. Yep. That was fantastic. The only thing that we couldn't quite solve, so to say, was the utensils. So, and the plates. So they might have had enough plates. I just remember the caterers, they were on it. They were going around to each table and like taking any unused silverware. Like as soon as someone was done with their plate, they grabbed the utensils and the plate. I mean, it wasn't like frantic. It was like, thank you so much. They would like run it back to the kitchen. Yeah. We were just like washing utensils. It was insane. We were like, should we we were like, do we go somewhere a solution could be like going somewhere to get plastic utensils, but like we were not about to do that. Plus it all happened so quickly. So that's only, knock on wood, that's the only like rental item nightmare I had.
Most of my nightmares were either in catering or as a planner.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. Yeah, as a rental company. The other part of the rental company is we actually kind of usually get in earlier and we're getting out later. So if we get in earlier, we can usually fix problems. We know that something happened, the table broke when we delivered it. We can get another one out there in time. So we have a little bit more room, I think. But a lot of it for us is usually clients, I forgot to order salad plates. And it's 5 o'clock and dinner is being served at 7. Can you get us something? And, you know, a lot of times we can, you know, we try not to. It's not the easiest thing to do on a Saturday afternoon to drop everything and get extra salad plates delivered somewhere. But there's a lot of that happens, you know, especially when we're really deep into busy season and everybody's trying to juggle too many things and you forgot the salad plates. You know, hopefully you're not too far and you're downtown, but yeah, there's been times, I mean, I've Ubered extra racks for something up to the Chicago Botanical Gardens before. You know, there have been times when, you know, I don't have a driver, I don't have a truck, but I can get them to you. You know, I can put them in an Uber, I can put them in somewhere else. So it's about being creative at all times. That's for sure.
Yeah, you just put an idea out there that like is giving me nightmares of a table collapsing. Like I have never heard of that, and I was just like, oh my god, that'd be horrible because there'd be floor on it, and like, oh, I hope that never happens.
All the plates, all the glassware, everything goes crashing down. Yeah,
you've seen it?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Such a mess. Yeah. Literally. Okay. Well, a few minutes left. I did want to touch upon the fact, as you said, that you've seen situations that you've had to find solutions for as a planner. So if you can tell us, I know, and you've had this new company for a while, but if you want to give us a little bit of insight into your new planning company, the name and website and whatever you want.
Sure. So I mean, like I said, when I was in catering and towards the end of my catering part of my career, I was working with an event planning company, primarily doing weddings. It's always been my happy place. I do some social, some corporate, and I'm great at them as well. But to me, weddings are just such a happy situation to be a part of, you know, to be a part of someone's biggest day and to help them get there. It's so rewarding. And I absolutely loved it. And so I, about 2.5, 3 years ago, knew that I was kind of looking to go in my own direction a little bit. And so I finished up all of the weddings that I had with the company that I was working with and started booking my own. My company is called A Great Adventure, Weddings and Events, because life is a great adventure and we should enjoy celebrating it. So I do primarily weddings in the Chicagoland and Southern Wisconsin market. Yeah. Mostly just because they make me happy. But so I'm Instagram, social media, Instagram, Facebook. The website's greatadventureevents.com. Cool. And you can email me at monica@greatadventureevents.com.
Cool. I'll type that up here. What was I going to ask? What percentage do you mainly do with Tablescapes? Do you mainly do corporate or weddings? Like, obviously, you're on here to talk about weddings, but what are you?
A little bit of everything. I have some clients that I work with a lot of restaurants and a lot of caterers, mostly because of my catering background. A lot of restaurants are doing a lot more catering now. And so they all kind of need a little bit more support. So I work with a lot of restaurants. I do work with a lot of planners only because we're all kind of friends and we work together and interact. But the primarity of my job at Tablescapes is actually more doing our purchasing, our buying, our trending, our design, our social media, our marketing and things like that. So I kind of go a little bit of everywhere. My title is Director of Operations, or sorry, not operations. I do not do operations. Director of Innovation. So I do a lot more of our creative side.
I feel
a little bit of selling.
You're the only person that I've worked with from Tablescapes. I think, well, I mean, I met you and we clicked. How many sales reps are there?
We have 5 more sales reps in addition to me. So we've got a really extensive team. And then we have an office team that also, when we're not in COVID, is also available in the office during the week to do walkthroughs and help answer phones and do a lot of our proposal writing and things like that and getting people responses quicker. So it's a pretty big team.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to actually post your Tablescapes email.
Sure. Yeah. You can do both.
Everyone's great at Tablescapes, but like we're obviously talking to you. You're my fit. So, you know, if anyone wants to email you, this is that your email?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like I've worked with you in a variety of ways. Like sometimes I'll know exactly what we need. And so I'll be like, we need like this amount of this amount of this. And then other times I've been like, can you help? So it's nice that you're able to like be a part of the creative process.
We get a lot of clients who will call and say, how many plates should I order? How many plates do I need? How many glasses do I need? And so a lot of times those calls will, hey, Monika, help them out. Mostly because with my catering background, it's so much easier for me to say, this is how many plates you're going to need for this kind of event. But there's also so many questions that go into it. It's not how many plates do I need? It's how long is your event? How many people are there? What are you serving? What's going to happen with the plates when you're done with them? There's so many questions that go into how many are you going to need? And so really kind of sitting and talking about the whole scope of the event is the only way to get through the correct set of equipment and things like that. So that's why I think we work well, because you'll kind of walk through everything that you think is going to happen, and then I can give you better recommendations.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of I don't know.
How many glasses do I need for the bar? I get that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much education that goes into weddings because, the majority of clients have not been married before.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing, but my couples admittedly say, we haven't done this before. We have no idea what we're doing. That's why we're hiring you for the expertise. As a planner, as you know, it's an investment. It's a financial investment to hire a wedding planner. It's to save money, though, too, if you want to look at it from a financial standpoint.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think every planner that does their job well is really going to save you the money that you charge, that they're charging you. I will get you all that money that you're paying me back in other funds. But that only really kind of works when you have the planner on with you throughout the whole process. If you're only bringing in a day of coordinator and they're not kind of jumping onto the planning process until about 30 days out, then you're not getting any of the benefits of their contacts, their information, their ways of saving you money, because they're just coming in to kind of put up brush fires and put together the last minute details. In order to really find value in a planner, you have to have them from the beginning. Otherwise, they're just saving the day.
We have to have we have to do this again. That is a whole other episode of the difference between a coordinator and a wedding planner.
Oh yeah, we could go on. We could do 2 hours on that one.
Totally. This was good. Yeah. We're not done, but I want to thank you for
fun.
And you look fantastic.
Oh my God, thanks. It was fun this summer. I finally had a summer worth of sun for the first time in years.
Oh, right. I was just thinking because we're on site all the time for weddings on the weekends. We have, I want to say we have more of a life, but at the same time,
there's not much to do. Yeah, I've seen the sun for the first time in like I said, years. Just taking my laptop and working out on the balcony during the day in order to get a little bit more of a tan. But yeah, for the first time since probably college, I finally have a tan this year. So I will luxuriate in that for just a little bit longer until it gets cold. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Did you ever work from home before?
We did. Yeah. As a sales team, we all kind of came and went. We didn't have to be in the office at any given point. In times it's easier to work in the office, in times it's easier to work at home, but we've got a really, really good plan, really good kind of coordination as to who's answering phones and who's answering emails and who's taking care of this and how we communicate. The majority of the issue with having remote workers is communication. And for us, it's near constant with our warehouse and our dispatch and our office team. So we haven't found many problems with it. And I have a feeling we're going to do a lot more of it in the future too.
Yeah. Are you anxious to go back to the office, or do you like?
Some days I do go in a little bit. I've had to do some stuff with equipment, like I said, as we're starting to get ready to move, deciding what we're keeping and what we're not, doing a lot of photos of new products and things like that. So I have been going in a little bit, but I stagger my time so that the warehouse is out by the time I get there, so that there's not too many people. But it's interesting. It's different. It's hard to be home all the time, but it's also really nice. I was saying to somebody earlier, I rolled out of bed yesterday and walked down a flight of stairs into my office, and then I was at work answering phones. So it really does kind of give you a little bit of differentiation, but it's not the same as getting dressed and leaving the house every day.
Well, I can tell you have a wonderful backdrop. You're inspiring.
We've had a lot of Zooms in the last couple of months.
People are saying you guys are great and super supportive. So thank you, everyone.
No, we appreciate the love.
But, you are inspiring me. I'm right now I'm in my living room. It's safer here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, I'm getting sick of like the same the same walls. But I like the black backdrop that you have. It's
You know what? It's actually just a wall that's painted. And then there's lights that kind of make it a little bit easier. Otherwise, especially when you're on Zoom calls in the evening, as the sun starts to like set, when you're in the room, the whole like light changes. So yeah, I have, you know, a light box too.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is the light box is actually to take pictures of products, and I just borrow it when I'm using
Oh, yes.
Zoom. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's what it's actually for.
I'm learning, even though Mode is an AV company, I'm personally not the best. I'm like a grandma when it comes to technology. Like technology, I mean this. Like,
yeah,
my ring light in my laptop, it's like, whoa, you know?
Yeah. But it's crazy what you can do with a little bit of light and a little bit of time. I mean, I think the less decor, the better. But people ask me all the time, is that a backdrop? And I was like, the problem with the backdrops on a lot of those things is that you can't see your hands or you can't move around in them. So yeah, I just paint a wall, cool color, and use that as a backdrop.
I love it. Yeah, I was wondering if you had like literally like photographers have, like with the
well, you know, it's funny you say that, because I do have one on that wall, but again, it's because it's the backdrop for the photos of new products that we take and things like that. So I do have one hanging over there, so that when I flip the room over to do photos of new products, I do have the same backdrop. But for the most part, I think the other one's gray, so the black works better.
So you said the ghost chair, what's it called? The one that's tinted? I know it's not.
It's called the Smoke Mirage. If you actually jump on our Instagram right now, it's Tablescapes CHGO. So at Tablescapes CHGO on Instagram. I think it's probably the second or third picture up there. I put a couple of photo shoot pictures of it up there so that you can see it. It's a really cool chair. It's pretty much my obsession. And I've been working on it for a while with a manufacturer out of China. We finalized it in February, and they were able to ship them over here. So we got them in April. And I'm super excited about them. I love them.
Yeah. I hope I can, I don't know. I want to do all the coolest things. Like,
I know, it's fun. I mean, that's the fun. People ask all the time, what's your favorite thing? And I laugh and I say it changes on a daily basis. You know, I can walk in today and my favorite thing yesterday is completely gone because I've, you know, found something new or wanted to play with something differently. The fun part about the showroom is that we can do that on a regular basis. You know, a couple of the office girls and I change out table displays and things like that all the time because we get to play. We have so much fun playing.
Yeah, and it depends on the event and the location and so many things. So
I usually have a good 5 to 6 designs in my head for any photo shoot coming up. So it's really funny. People will come to me and say, we want to do this photo shoot at this place. What can you recommend? I'm like, okay, here's this design, here's this design. You know, and so you can for things as they're coming and hope that you'll get to use them at some point. But there's times when I just have to do photo shoots for myself because I think they're just fun and you get really fun product shoots and product photos. So it's interesting. You know, I bring stuff to Christmas at grandma's house because it's more fun to pop in some fun Christmas plates and stuff.
It's the best parties. I don't know. I'm sure they're zhuzhed up, but we do have to wrap up. I could talk to you forever. But thank you so much again for joining us.
We'd love to do it again.
Yes, please let's. We'll schedule a time, obviously. But to the viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Give her a big warm goodbye. I guess I'll just talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you again for joining us.
Hopefully we'll have some social distancing wine soon.
Yes, I know. I didn't even finish this.
I know. What happened to the champagne?
I'm a wuss.
It's okay.
Like my comfort zone.
You're just jet lagged. It's cool.
Yeah, I know. Vegas is fun, as you know, but tiring.
So fun.
But we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
Yay. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Next week, we are going to be here at the same time, same place, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central. If you do not have or if you're not on our mailing list, rather, you can just email us. I'm going to post our email address here. It's weddings@mode-event.com. So when you email us, you'll get on the newsletter, and then that will include any videos that you might have missed and give you access to that. So have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys. See ya.